This video contains information that may not be suitable for children. Parental discretion is advised.
Today's video is a reaction to a video posted by a guy named Glendon Cameron, okay? He's supposed to be this YouTube millionaire business advisor, and I did a little analysis on him a few weeks ago in terms of his millionaire status before I knew anything about his personal habits. See, there was something about him telling me that he was not the man that he appeared to be, okay? Then lo and behold, he posted a video defending R. Kelly, which turned out to be a playbook on how to sexually exploit underage girls and get away with it.
R. Kelly and I are similar, but we're very different because I have safeguards. I know when I'm getting out of control. And I kind of ran analysis on this. And she was older. Her parents weren't breathing down her neck. And this is how a lot of young girls end up with older dudes. Their parents are not heavily involved in their lives, where they have the time and the freedom to get away with this stuff. And her parents didn't check her. She'd go out, she'd spend the night out. Her parents were like, she came home alive, cool. Her parents were not on her. So I didn't have to worry about catching a charge from the parents. And once again, we just kept doing our thing. From 17 to 22, I this chick for 5 years.
Brothers, the devil has three tools that he always uses to cause men to fall: power, money, and sex, okay? And the reason why he always uses them is because they always work. Now, once men begin to lust for the devil's tools, they unwittingly become his tool, okay? And it's said that hurting people hurt other people, and that's because the devil's prey always becomes his predators, okay? He will use their lust to lead them to prey on other people. And you will know that a politician, for example, has a lust for power when he appears on Fox News and all of his policies are anti-people. You can identify the devil's dude when he appears on YouTube with a scam designed to take your money from you. And you will always know when you are becoming one of the devil's mans if you spend a good part of your day watching OnlyFans with your joint in your hand, okay? Now, what happens to these men once their lust completely overtakes them? Let's talk about it. James 1:14 says, every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. And then when lust has conceived, it brings forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, brings forth death. Now, let's begin by defining two words: sin and lust, okay? Sin is an immoral act considered to be a transgression against divine law, and is also a state of condition of a person's heart or soul that leads them to see no problem with transgressing divine law. And you will know that a man has become sin or sinful when he categorizes any attempt to criticize or correct his transgressions as judgment. See, lust is a very strong and intense desire for someone or something, and the eyes of the window to the soul. So lust is conceived when a person looks at something or something and begins to develop an intense desire for it. The problem with lust, though, is it has no boundaries when it's allowed to grow unchecked. See, it'll continue to grow inside of you until it eventually kills you. See, when lust is conceived, it brings forth sin, but once it's finished, it brings forth death. Now, brothers, there's a 7-step process of sin and lust that leads to death. And those 7 steps are observation, stimulation, admiration, experimentation, participation, consummation, and reprobation. And the process begins when you observe or see something or someone, okay? Your flesh gets stimulated or activated by it. And this leads to experimentation, where you say, I'll just try it just once, it won't hurt. But that experiment causes you to deviate off your path or your purpose or out of your position. And brothers, the longer you deviate, the more you become deviant. Experimentation leads to participation, where you begin to engage in it more often. And participation leads to consummation, which is a state of where your mind becomes centered on it. You plan your activities around it, and you select your friends and associates based on it. Then consummation leads to reprobation, which is where you become so addicted to it to the point where you lack the mental, physical, and spiritual capacity to quit. See, your life starts spiraling out of control and you fall into personal and professional destruction. And see, when lust is fulfilled, it brings forth death. Okay, something in you dies spiritually, which ultimately leads to something dying externally. Okay, and it could be your life, but it could also be your job, your fortune, or your family. Okay, now have you ever seen a married guy out in public cheating openly? Okay, and the reason it appears that he does not care if he gets caught is because he's become reprobate. See, he lacks the physical, mental, and spiritual capacity to make the godly decision to quit cheating, so he starts doing it openly. Now, he still loves his wife and his family, but the pressure to keep his sin hidden is too overwhelming, so he wants to get caught subconsciously. See, his actions could lead to the death of his marriage, but his actions could also lead to his own death as the woman he's cheating with is married and her husband decides to take out all three of them, okay, to take all three of their lives. Now, Romans 8:13 says, if you live after the flesh, you shall die. But if you through the Spirit do mortify or kill the deeds of your body, you shall live. And brothers, you have to be able to immediately recognize when the lust of your eyes is causing you to deviate off your path, off your purpose, or out of your position. And again, the longer you deviate, the more you become deviant. See, deviate means to stray off your established course, whereas deviant is a noticeable departure from either acceptable or normal behavior. Now, I remember one night I recognized that the lust of my eyes was taking me off course. I was in downtown Honolulu, Hawaii on my way to meet some friends when I saw this sister across the street, and this chick was, oh my God, fine, okay? And I was a straight up gunner in the guts for those days, so I had to get over there and shoot my shot, right? So I dashed out in the street and almost got hit by a car because I was so intensely focused on her instead of watching where I was going. When I started talking to this young lady, she said, walk with me, okay? And the reason she wanted me to walk with her is because she was a hooker, okay? If she didn't keep moving, the police would arrest her on a charge of loitering for prostitution. Now, I was 6'4", 230-pound muscled up guy at the time, so she asked me if I wanted to be her security. And I said, don't you have a pimp? And she said she didn't need one because she only messed with Asian guys who were mostly harmless, but every now and then she needed a man for protection. And out of curiosity, I asked her, how much you pay me? And she said, I'll pay you in pussy. I said, hold that thought. And I dashed back across the street to meet up with my friends, okay? Now, if I didn't have the ability to realize that I had deviated off course that night, the lust of my eyes could have led to my demise, all right? Now, brothers, the devils will take your natural desire for women and use it against you, okay? So you have to realize that you will be motivated or stimulated to act on whatever you visualize. And this is the reason why porn is a booming industry, because it appeals to a man's instinct to gratify his sexual lust through his eyes. Therefore, we have to guard our heart from having to deal with the issues of life by turning the eye gate into our heart away from things that could lead us to sin and to fall into personal and professional devastation or reprobation, okay? Now, one of the reasons why I criticize and analyze some of the brothers on YouTube who have thousands or millions of subscribers is I know that the devil can actually easily use them to influence you, okay? And the more you use your eyes to watch their content, you'll become discontent and you'll begin to do whatever they tell you will make you rich or get you more women. But you guys have to understand that God does not make stars out of men, the devil does, okay? If you have a lust for stardom and fame, the devil will use a rope to hoist you up as high as you want to go. However, when he is through using you, he will release that rope and either let you fall or hang you with it. And you might think that you want to be in the spotlight, but the problem with the spotlight is it reveals your spots, but it also brings the heat. This Glendon Cameron dude doesn't realize that since he was soliciting prostitution online from underage girls and he confessed to it online, the FBI is using their eyes to plan his demise. A lot of guys will surmise that they can separate this man's mess from his message. See, they think that they can take his YouTube content into their heart and their spirit without being affected in their spirit by the content of his spirit. See, the problem is you are what you eat, all right? You become what you consume. If you eat the devil's food, you will eventually become as the devil is. If you let a man inspire you who has a corrupt spirit, whatever he has in his spirit will be breathed into you. Now, I heard that he frequently mixes his kinky nonsense with his business, so if you have been watching him regularly, you might already be being stimulated unknowingly, and you are on your way to being consummated. All right? Turn away from his content now, or you will ultimately become one of the devil's sons and reprobate too. All right? Now, if you don't want to, or you try to come up with an excuse to justify why you shouldn't have to, your spirit might already be infected, and you may already be addicted. Guys, have you ever wondered why a guy like me, who has actually made other men millionaires by providing business counsel from the Bible, has less than 400 subscribers, while men who only make millions for themselves have thousands? One would have no choice but to conclude that people love to be lied to rather than receive the truth. But the real truth is they are being lured by the lust of their flesh for money, excess punani, and other things, okay, to the YouTube channels of the devil's dudes instead of the men of God who will actually help them get what they want, rather than exploit their weaknesses and turn those brothers into their little bitch, okay? And you see, there is the whole counsel of God, and then there's the whole counsel of the devil, okay? The whole counsel of God is counsel straight from the Bible that is pure, is productive, positive, and prosperous, and it'll lead you to power, protection, provision, and peace, all right? Then there is the whole counsel that comes straight out of the devil's playbook, and the people who go to church regularly that adhere to the devil's ideology are not a child of the true and living God, all right? Their God in reality is the devil. See, the devil is their zaddy, and he is the one who issues their blessings, which is why they come few and far between. See, the devil is an abusive parent, which is why you have to do something for him, like giving him tithes and offerings in order to receive blessings from him. See, the devil is your zaddy when you submit to preachers, pastors, or bishops who will abuse you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, and in some cases sexually. The following is a list of 12 key elements of the whole counsel of the devil, which let a man know clearly that the devil is his zaddy. You want to come as you are, but so you can stay as you is, okay? You don't want to be judged. You pursue your own glory. You indulge your appetites. You seek your own truth. You have no Christian morals or values. You operate on situational ethics. You guide your life by the exceptions, not the rules. And you find a way to oppose all good things. You are entertained by chaos and confusion. You lie, cheat, and steal as a matter of convenience. You cannot forgive any transgressors against you. Now, the following is a list of 12 key elements of the whole counsel of the devil that let a woman know clearly that the devil is her zaddy. See, you yield to fleshly desires. You have a high body count. You are selfish and greedy. You are vindictive. You reject the authority of men. You talk Christian, but your mind is alienated from God. You are a threat to a man's freedom, his finances, and fulfillment. You guide your life by the exceptions, not the rules. You are adverse to all good things. You also are entertained by chaos and confusion. You lie and you cheat and you steal as a matter of convenience, and you cannot forgive any transgressions against you. Well, that's all that I have for now. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, share this video with your family and friends, and I'll be back with something new that nobody told you. Until then, remember that God loves you, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I'll see you next time on Maximizing Fatherhood.